What's up, Trojan? So I've had some more time to think after that horrible Monday night loss to the Seahawks, and their defense was actually pretty good in that game. I'll give them credit there. I was a little hard on them right after it. I don't think the Seahawks played amazing, but I think their defense actually was really good. Even if the Giants' offense showed up a bit better, I think their defense would have kept it a low-scoring game, and it would have been on the Giants' defense to do a little bit better than they did. Maybe if Kayvon got that interception, pick six, would have been a different game. But a lot of ifs there. Got to move on. And I wanted to take this video to address some of the persistent problems I've noticed with the Giants over the last several years. I really started following the team more in 2016. And since then, there's been these 2-year cycles, really, where the Giants have like a good year and then a bad year. And the bad years being 2017, 2019, 2021. And I fear that may be the case in 2023. Now, I hope not. 1-3 isn't the worst record in the world, but it's certainly not a good start. And one of the things I've noticed that I feel like not everyone is talking about is the Giants seem to get rid of a lot of their midseason heroes and a lot of these small guys that every time I look back, I'm like, did that guy actually make a difference? You go to 2018, we picked up a right guard in the middle of the season, Jamon Brown. And all of a sudden, the offensive line got much better at blocking and helped Saquon Barkley win Rookie of the Year. Now, it didn't turn the entire team around, but a guy like that clearly helped out the offensive line, but then the offseason rolls around and he disappears. The Giants just get rid of him. What happened there? You go back to last season. We had a corner, Moreau. PFF rated him very high, and he filled the role perfectly. He was basically our number one corner. I don't remember him giving up huge passes or anything. I don't remember him getting interceptions, but I thought he was a pretty solid coverage corner. We had Isaiah Hodgins last year as well. We got Landon Collins back, who really helped us beat the Colts to get in the playoffs with his pick six. And then in the offseason, Giants get rid of Collins and Moreau. I have no idea why. They're paying those guys nothing last year. Probably could have continued paying them nothing this year. At least they brought back Hodgins, who hasn't had, the best start in the world or anything, but none of the Giants have really had the best start in the world, so, no real direct knock on him there. But that's just one thing I've noticed. The other thing I've noticed, and the Giants didn't really do that this time around, but in the past, on those years after the Giants get really hot, they blow out the bank in free agency. Now, I don't think the Giants necessarily did that the most recent offseason, which is why I made that video I made a while back, thinking the 2023 team would be very different from those past odd-year teams. And unfortunately, they're having a similar start, worse in terms of the scores of the games, but they're having a similar start to those odd-year teams. And I think a couple things relating to the cap of the last years may have actually put the Giants in a situation like that, which is very unfortunate. But you look back at those odd years and, Giants blew out the bank going into 2016, picking up all these defensive guys who were great in 2016, but they fall off slightly in 2017. The whole thing falls apart. You go to 2021, the Giants get a guy like Kenny Golladay, right? Paying a guy number one wide receiver money and not getting number one wide receiver production really demoralizes a roster. Then you come to this year, and there's not some huge free agent guy that we threw all this money at that is really disappointing the Giants. But you look at a couple guys, like you think a guy like Evan Neal would take a jump in the offseason. That has not been the case. Kayvon Thibodeau is starting to pick it back up, but I'd appreciate it if he was a bit more consistent. And then you go to other guys the Giants have really allocated a lot of money to, like a guy like Leonard Williams, right? They didn't pay him all this money in the offseason or anything, but he counts against the cap in a big way this year, and he's there. I don't think he's doing necessarily terrible, but I haven't noticed him doing anything. And when that much of the cap's allocated to one guy like that, I'd like to notice him doing a lot on the defensive line. And I feel like the Giants are sort of in that problem, even if it's not the current administration's fault. And then the other thing is, all of those teams in the odd years, 2017 and 2021 in particular, came off of huge seasons the year before, right? 2017, the Giants made the playoffs, unfortunately got blown out by the Packers. 2021, the Giants almost made the playoffs, and everyone was very excited about Joe Judge, and they turn around the next year and disappoint. Most recent season, the Giants beat the Vikings in the playoffs, made it to the divisional round, then, very unfortunately, got blown out by the Eagles. And then you come into this year, right? Expectations get so high, and then everyone's immediately let down. It's the inverse of last season where it felt like, personally, my expectations were pretty low, and then I was very excited to see the Giants get off to a fast start. Opposite this year. And I feel like that's something that contributes to it. I don't know if that's more coaching. I don't know if that's like something inside the building that's sort of happening. Maybe everyone's getting too hyped up or something. They thought everything was turning around very quick. They got too excited. And, they thought too highly of themselves maybe. I'm not sure what that issue is. But that's one thing I've noticed over the last several years. And the other thing is, more the stuff that everyone's been talking about, right? Like the Giants haven't had an amazing O-line in any of those seasons. I haven't been a Giants fan, since 2016 here. I haven't been a Giants fan going like, wow, that offensive line's amazing. I feel like I could run behind that thing. No, we pick up a guy like Saquon Barkley because it takes the best running back in the NFL to run behind that offensive line and put up stats. We have like some insane sack numbers. Even going back to Eli Manning getting sacked a ton in 2018. You go to Daniel Jones the past couple weeks, or really just this season, getting sacked a ton in Dallas and against the Seahawks. Now, I know the more recent stuff, Andrew Thomas is out, and Andrew Thomas is an amazing left tackle. It's a shame it doesn't look like he's going to play against the Dolphins. But the Giants, we're going to need more than Andrew Thomas to beat the Dolphins. And that's something that I feel like Joe Schoen has been trying to work on, but it's just not hitting. And that's actually the other thing I've noticed is a persistent problem with the Giants is we get very excited as a fan base after a very good season, as a fan base should be, and then go in, and everyone knows that there's holes with the Giants, right? Like this year, I would point to the guards. Like we knew our guards weren't going to be amazing, but you think Andrew Thomas will be good, then Evan Neal will take a huge leap, and then John Michael Schmitz at center. Hopefully he's a plug-and-play center. So far, he's actually been solid. He's had, rookie mistakes for sure, but I actually think he'll be good. But we knew for a fact that we were going to have issues at guard. Doesn't get addressed, and surprise, surprise, we have even worse issues at guard. I would argue the same thing for the secondary this season. We knew, we're taking a gamble at secondary. You think, Deonte Banks will come in, plug and play, but it's tough for a rookie corner to just do that. You figure Adoree Jackson would be good, and he is, but I don't know why he's in the slot. And so we have an unproven commodity being our other corner. And I don't think that guy's necessarily doing terrible, but our secondary is certainly not doing amazing overall. I don't know what the issue is. Maybe it's actually more in the safety, right? We knew we were going to have issues there. And then I feel like not enough gets done to address it. You go to 2021, same thing. We knew the offensive line might be an issue. We knew certain things were issues going into these years. And the Giants they don't do enough to make up for those issues. And then everyone knows the Giants have those issues. So if we know the Giants have those issues, every other team in the NFL knows the Giants have these issues. And they exploit them. That's the other thing. We've been doing this rotating, revolving door and the coaching staff, and I feel like you come in your first season as a head coach in the New York Giants, you create this new playbook, everyone starts going at it, and, the Giants can hit the ground running. No one knows your plays. No one knows anything about the offense. You can take teams off guard, even over the course of a season, but then you give teams in the NFL an entire offseason to go back at the film and everything And if you don't adapt that playbook in a massive way, and I'm not going to accuse the Giants of not trying to adjust or anything. I'm sure everyone's doing their best there, but I think the Giants continuously are getting outsmarted at the coaching staff by other teams in the NFL because they have all this time to look at everything, examine everything, and then even you take that, but then players in the NFL, they're going back and forth all the time between teams, this team, that team. So Giants have a new playbook, and then we get rid of someone in the offseason. That guy goes to other teams in the NFL, tells them. Maybe it's even just a practice squad guy, right? You take all these things into account. Every other team in the NFL basically gets the Giants playbook by proxy now. That's definitely not helping. So the Giants really need to adapt the playbook each offseason. It's a difficult task, but I don't know, what other explanations there are. And all of these problems, in addition, I feel like they're just things that keep popping up over and over and over again. And, honestly, even if the Giants are terrible this year, another persistent problem is that revolving door at head coach. I think even if Dable has a Joe Judge collapse at head coach, with a rant at the press conference booth, unless he does something stupid like, sit a Hall of Fame quarterback like McAdoo did, I'm in for keeping him for another year. If he has like a slow year, it's like Pat Shurmur's 2019, right? The team's not amazing, but no one really gives up, and Pat Shurmur doesn't do anything that bad. I'd keep him. I think it'd be worth it for the Giants just to have some continuity here and see if we can turn it around. It might not seem like it, but going around firing everyone just might not be the solution. Now, my last video, I said fire someone. I am shocked that some assistant did not get fired. I'm actually, really shocked. Someone has to get pinned for that. Assistant's very replaceable. There's not much continuity going on in an assistant. I feel like they're basically out here talking to the players and giving advice to the head coach. You can plug and play that role pretty easily if you get someone better. So I was really surprised to hear no changes are being made in the coaching staff. But at the high levels, continuity might be helpful. It'd be the first time since Coughlin, the Giants would have a head coach for 3 years in a row. It'd be breaking records, unfortunately. But yeah, those are a lot of the issues I've noticed over time with the Giants. Let me know if you guys have any other. And, circling back on that first point, that doesn't just apply to midseason heroes. I'm thinking of guys like Hankins back in 2016 really helped out that defensive line. I'm thinking of even like Julian Love more recently. He was a solid safety, and, it's a tough guy to just replace. Yeah, he's not a star or anything, but he did good work as a safety. And it's not easy to replace those guys. And the Giants, I don't know what it is. Just gotta get the personnel right there. It's a huge task. I don't get all my personnel things right, but you'd hope an entire organization could find a way to do it more consistently. But yeah, those are the things I've noticed. A couple things that I kind of purposefully left out is someone might be like, oh, the quarterback play. It's like, yeah, that's whatever. Yeah, the play calling, I can also see that. But again, I don't know for certain, what's going on there. Kafka might be calling a deep pass every play, and it's Jones doing the check downs every play. I really don't know what's going on there, so I don't want to speak too crazy on that. And then a big one might also be the draft. And I would say, yeah, on the draft, but I feel like the Giants have also drafted fairly well. There's just not a major bust I can think of in that recent memory. Even Eli Apple's a late first rounder. There's not a guy we really went all in on, and it's in our faces, right? Some people would say Saquon, but I think he's a solid running back. Some people might say Jones, but we're still trying to see what's going on there. Can you really call a quarterback that got a nice second contract a bust? I don't know. I haven't seen anything too bad from the draft. And then we have some bright spots like Andrew Thomas and hopefully Thibodeau. He seems to be doing all right. So those are some other things, but I don't know. I just didn't want to highlight those necessarily. I feel like they're either too obvious or they don't really apply. But everything else I've said, I feel like those are consistent problems. The Giants, they just need to find a way to figure out. And honestly, when it comes to this season, everything I said there, that was like off-season stuff, mid-season, the Giants just need to get motivated, get out there, and play football the way I know they know how, because we've been losing these games due to stupid mistakes. Clean that nonsense up, get focused, and then Giants can win a couple games and, at least this season now, not be embarrassing for the rest of the year. I would love to see the Giants really turn it around, do something crazy like make the playoffs or win a Super Bowl. But the way they've started this year and the way the schedules look in the next few games, it's going to be a tough battle. I would just love to see the Giants turn it around, and even if it's not 1,000% representative of their record, I would just love to see the team really turn it around and get things moving, be fun to watch, fight hard, and compete in every single game. Even if it doesn't win them a Super Bowl this year, that sort of attitude with a good offseason, I hate to just say it, but Giants can get them next year if need be. See you guys in the next one.